friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Olivia back again with another spooky video. And yes, today we're going to be talking about the curse of Voodoo Queen Julia Brown. If you haven't heard this story, then grab a snack and get comfy because you're in for a good one. Picture it's the early 1900s and Julia Brown moves to the town of Frenier, Louisiana and builds a cabin on the edge of Manic Swamp. Now this swamp is a very centralized part of this town because it's kind of like their main road. They use their boats to kind of go from part A to part B of the town. And they always pass by Julia's house. Julia became well known in the town as a healer and a voodoo priestess, and people kind of left her as an outlier until they were sick and needed help. When a doctor couldn't fix them, they would go to Julia and have her heal them. People in the town tended to ostracize Julia because they thought she was weird. She used to sit out on her porch in her rocking chair and play songs on her guitar and sing as people would pass by, and the things she would sing about is what freaked people out the most. She would sing about predictions she had for their futures, individual predictions for each person who came by. Some of them were good, some of them were bad, and they always seemed to come true. One day when someone was passing by her cabin, they heard her sing the song, "When I die, the whole town is gonna go with me." Now, when this person went back to town, they told everyone about this song because they knew that Julia's predictions always came true, and everyone got really scared. They're like, okay, well maybe we should not ostracize her as much and maybe include her in more of the town activities. So they all decided to get together and go to her house to go be friendly again because they didn't want whatever bad stuff was going to happen when she died to happen. And they got to her house and she was nowhere to be found. They didn't see her on the front porch. So a few days go by and they keep checking here and there to see if she's there. And someone finally gets it, oh my God, maybe something bad happened to her. So a few of them went inside her house, and what did they find? It was Julia on the floor dead. They all seemed to get really scared, and in order to prevent whatever atrocity they thought was going to happen because of Julia's death, they decided to all band together and have a mass funeral for Julia in the middle of the town and gather everyone there so that when she went, the whole town was there with her. They were trying to get around the whole prediction, but didn't really work. So as they were burying her in the ground, they put her in the coffin and they put the coffin in a box and put the box in the ground, and all of a sudden the Category 4 hurricane that hit Louisiana in 1915 hit, and everyone in the town ran for their lives. This hurricane was so bad. It flattened the entire town of Frenier. People ran everywhere to try to hide from the storm. It didn't work. So it wasn't necessarily Julia harming anyone from her prediction, but she was just predicting that the storm was going to come and take everyone away, which is really freaking creepy if you think about it. It took weeks for people from other towns to come into the town of Frenier to find any survivors, and there was only a handful of survivors that actually made it out alive. And when the rescue teams came from out of town on their boats through the Manic Swamp, what did they hear? Someone in the distance singing a song saying, "When I die, the whole town is gonna go with me." There were so many dead bodies strewn across the whole town from the disaster of this hurricane that the rescue teams didn't know what to do. They couldn't dig over 250 individual graves, so instead they decided to make one giant mass grave and named it 1915 and called it a day. So there's a giant mass grave in Louisiana where that town used to be with a bunch of people buried underneath it. That just does not bring good juju. Now the story gets weirder because fast forward to the late 1970s, and there's a bridge that goes over Manchuk Swamp. Manchuk. I don't know how to say this. I think it's Manchuk. I think I've been saying it wrong this whole entire time. Who knows? But there's a bridge that goes over the swamp, and this bridge has a terrible disaster. So what happened was, there was a boat that needed to go underneath the bridge, and the bridge operator needed to open the gate to the bridge for the boat to go through, but a train was coming at the same exact time, so the bridge operator contacted the boat saying, "Hey, you guys need to slow down. There's a train coming through. I will lift it once the train goes through." The boat seemed to slow down, but they never actually spoke in person to actually confirm this whole entire ordeal. But the boat stopped, the bridge operator thought, okay, they got my message. And then all of a sudden, the boat starts speeding towards the bridge and crashes into one of the pillars, making the whole entire bridge collapse, and a bunch of people died in this accident. Now, People say that it's the curse of the Voodoo Queen Julia Brown. I don't know if that's actually the real curse there or not. The weird thing is that the boat operator said that they never got the call from the bridge operator, even though the boat did slow down to a complete stop and then randomly start speeding up. So who really knows what happened, if it was just like some weird miscommunication or if it was the Voodoo Queen Julia Brown that made the boat bust into the bridge. Who knows, honestly, but it's really crazy because there's a ghost story that coincides with this whole bridge collapse. So fast forward years later, there's a group of teenagers that are taking the trip to New Orleans and they have to cross over this bridge, the same bridge that collapsed a few years prior. And as they were going through, they had the windows rolled down. And of course, they all know the story of the Voodoo Queen Julia Brown and what happened. So they were a little bit creeped out having their windows down in the car. So they're driving towards the bridge and they hear a woman screaming at the top of her lungs like she was in pain. So they slammed on their brakes and started to go really slowly towards the bridge to make sure they weren't going to hit anybody. And then out of nowhere, they heard a really loud growl sound, which freaked them out even more, and they decided to just get the fuck out of there and they sped off really fast going towards the bridge. But then they had to come to a complete stop again because in front of them it looked as if the bridge had collapsed completely. So what did they do? They put it in reverse and booked it backwards, but they kept hearing a thudding sound and apparently their car tire had popped. So now they had to get out of the car as all of this craziness was going on. So they got out of the car to change the tire, and as they were changing the tire, they heard a woman singing behind them, "When I die, I'm gonna take the whole town with me." And they described it as like, it's insane chaos because one thing, the person was screaming, a weird sound was growling, the bridge is collapsing, now someone's saying that they're gonna die and take the whole town with them. It's just crazy. And then out of nowhere, everything just goes silent and they look up in front of them and the bridge, nothing happened to it. It was totally fine. They ended up changing the tire, getting in their car, and getting the fuck out of there because that is so terrifying. I honestly don't know what I would do in that scenario. I'd probably just stay in the car and try to drive with a flat tire until I was away from wherever the hell I was. I don't know, dude. That freaks me out. Now, if you're crazy like me and you like ghost tours and seeing haunted places, you're in luck because there is a tour group that will take you to the town of Frenier, to the mass grave, to see all the stuff, and to see Julia's cabin that she built because it's still there to this day. Surprisingly enough, it survived that hurricane. So there is a tour that takes you there. There's been a lot of really weird accounts that have happened on these tours. Like if you go at night, you can hear chanting coming from the mass grave site and see weird lights going on over there. People seem to think that's a lot of like voodoo kind of chanting. I don't really know. But there's also people who have said that when they pass by Julia's cabin, they hear a creaking of a rocking chair, and some people even say that you can hear her singing her song, "When I die, the whole town's gonna go with me." I don't know. I would still probably go on this tour, honestly, because I love ghost tours. So if you've ever gone there and you have any crazy stories about this town, let me know in the comments below because I would love to hear about them. I don't have any plans to go to Louisiana anytime soon, but if I do next time, I'm gonna take a trip out there to go see this cool town. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment down below of anything you want. If you guys have been to this town or on this ghost tour or have any like weird experiences about this place, leave it in the comments below because I want to hear about that kind of stuff because that's really freaking cool. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and give Harold a Space Ghost over here a little high five with your mouse and subscribe to my channel because it helps me out a lot. But that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed and I will see you in the next one. Peace out. Bye!